Probably got a better camera setup, but I'm just doing the webcam here. I wanted to talk about. I think I made a comment on watching a jabroni Mike VOD, and that's my opinion on like people begging their favorite content creator to play their favorite RPGs. Mother 3 is like the example, and I mean Mother 3 is what I was talking about. Yeah, Mother 3 is the prime example of this one, and I think it's a good example too because it's super personal. Like you could make the argument about whether it's just because they were a child or not. I think it's a well-made game from what I've seen. I should play it, but like people put a lot of weight on that, and I think first of all, I know the reason why. I mean, I obviously I'm not claiming to know the reason why everybody's asking this, but I'd have to imagine the reason why people want a streamer to play a game like that means so much to them is because they want to have their personal experience validated, which I don't understand wanting it so much that you like when they acquiesce and do what you want, freaking out when they don't do it exactly the way you want. First, this is coming from the perspective of someone who is very much an RPG player, especially when I was younger, the age that most people I think begging for their Mother 3 and Persona 5, whatever, whatever age they were when they played that. The chance, like you're setting yourself up to be upset because it's 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 the kind of experience that you have to be alone for. It's impossible to be genuine, and they were designed to be experienced alone. And wanting a streamer to have reacted to something that meant a lot to you in a similar way is understandable, but it's impossible for them to do that on stream. I don't think it's even like stop asking, some people do it right, or get over it. Like I think it is not something that if to all the people who do beg this kind of begging, when it was Undertale or when it was Persona 5 or Xenoblade, Bini please play Undertale. I found my comment. And again, maybe my ADHD influences my opinion. I mean, it influences everything. It's really kind of pointless for me to say that. Yeah, the reason I played games like that and still attempt to find that same kind of feeling is because it was my story. It's escapism. While I haven't personally, I mean, maybe it's because I have in the past, when I was younger, a YouTuber or something said something about something I liked. I on the whole, actively avoid hearing what people have to say about things that were really personal to me because not because I can't take it, but it's just like the more other people talk about these things, the more they become, the more that I am reminded of what they actually are, which is a product. And that doesn't mean that good art can't be made under that framework, and that um, it's less special uh, inherently, but like you aren't the main character from Other Three. I'm not Joker. I'm not Makoto from Persona 3. And the more you watch other people fill that role, the harder it is for that suspension of disbelief. And lots of people love those games, but I do think and talk about them and people I've known. Uh, I don't think my opinion. Maybe I'm not trying to say that I'm secretly right here in terms of the way that I enjoy the media myself. I have an almost incessant need to self-insert when I play video games, and of course, I'm using like internet lingo for like role playing. I mean, that's the point of the game, right? But because of I don't know if it's let's play culture or whatever, streaming let's play culture, like when that was a thing. There are games that I think are good that are good mediums for engaging content for a streamer. And I don't think that even in the specific case of like the people who freaked out, who basically anytime anyone plays Mother 3 on stream, I don't think or Undertale or anything like that. I don't think it's ever not gone down like this unless they start crying. You want them to start crying on stream? be completely silent, play the, you know what I mean? What's the point of streaming at that point? And again, I know it's because people want their experiences validated, and there's nothing wrong with wanting that. I mean, my strategy of just completely avoiding watching takes to things that are really personal to me. That's just personally where I arrived. And also as I've gotten older, like I'm an adult now, and I continued the habits of avoiding other people's opinions, and then I found that I didn't care so much when it happened. I was just kind of continuing my child tendencies, but still, I have to assume just percentage wise, like I don't think a majority, like when he was talking, Jabroni Mike, when he was talking about this recently, that made me make the comment. There were people in chat while he was talking about it still defending that he did something wrong, or at least he did it wrong. That there was a right way to do it. Um, I think the right way to do it is not to do it at all. And it's also why games like Mother 3 and Undertale and things like that and Persona, their fan bases have such bad reputations. It's because they're fans of an extremely personal art form attempting to, you know, th- having a personal experience with something and then deciding or at least feeling like the reason they had that experience is something inherent to the game itself. Which, yeah, those are great games, but you can have personal experiences with anything. Personal, like special memories attached to anything. Those just happen to be particularly conducive to them. Specifically on the point of why I personally don't think JRPGs and story focused games in general make good stream material, which I mean, I watch streams like in clips and VODs. There's something about being actually in a stream that it's just not really for me because I feel like no matter the size of it, obligated to. It's either like I have to go all in and watch and pay attention and participate, or not at all, because it's the same reason why like when I would play, I loved playing MMOs. I love the feeling of a social space, and but I played them. First of all, I got into them for the character creation, but back when I'd go to like MMO Bomb or whatever the hell that website was called, and just play all the free anime RPGs into you know. Um, but the reason that you watch someone play a game on stream, is to have a social space, to have them create the narrative, right? Like, and the entire purpose of a role playing game is that a narrative has been created for you to then act out. So unless it's like, to you're making fun of something, or it's like, something where you can completely disengage from the story, uh the only reason that you'd play an RPG on stream is because it's a game that you like or that the viewers will like. It doesn't, I think, particularly make you can't you can have a good entertaining stream playing like Final Fantasy. I really enjoyed Vine Sauce, like at least the clips, right? And that's exactly, I don't know if I could sit there and watch him just play Final Fantasy 7 because I feel like it would just be like everything about it is so personal. It's like comparing your experience to theirs. The very first YouTuber, at least I can remember, that I watched was Chugga Conroy back in 2010, right? Or probably would have been, yeah, 2010. Because I started watching him for his Pokemon Crystal Let's Play uh, when Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out. And I think, and he came from like the Mother 3 group online. It was an entire, people made friendships, people got married. There was a whole YouTube community like that seemed to sprout from like starman.net or whatever. And wanting more people to be able to experience this thing that's like had arbitrarily been blocked, from the West. But then it's like, okay, the translation's out. We're good. Like if you want to play it, play it. And but I think that energy of like, no, more people, like this was kept from people. Everybody loves to be part of a cult fan base. Then it gets popular and blah blah blah, right? But feeling like you're part of the secret club and then you want to share it with people. But then for instance, back when people watched people play games not streamed, that was when begging them, like you can do a playthrough of Mother 3 like that, and you can have genuine reaction. Um, and of course, though the reason why I think Chugga Conroy's Let's Plays are probably like the peak of that medium. I don't watch videos like that anymore, just because it's not my thing. I don't have the attention span for it. I basically do watch their streams, but just there being an audience there, and first of all, his playthroughs for the most part are like very rarely blind, because what made them so good, and he's still going, uh, is that it wasn't just watching someone play a game. It was watching someone like it was a walkthrough, but then there was room for jokes, things like that, and like it wasn't just about the game. Um, and streaming was is I think the final evolution of that, when people realize that they just want the feeling. Video games make a good medium for people to be able to just chill and talk. And when you know, it's like the equivalent of having a TV show on in the living room while you're hanging out, and like uh trying to hang out at a movie theater, right? It's like, okay, there is an intended experience presented right there. This case for the metaphor, the RPG. Yeah, you can have a fun time talking in this movie theater with everybody, but it's not helped by the it is not in working in sync with the other piece of media presented. I think, like, if anything, this idea that games, I just think that because of streaming culture, like, and maybe I'm completely, it's just because I'm out of touch or something, but I do think that like some games need to be played alone or they're not as good. And this is coming from someone who's had a lot of experience playing video games alone, to the point that I kind of like don't like playing games with other people. If I do, it's the social interaction that's fun. You know what I mean? I'm not. I've never gotten more enjoyment out of the game because there were other people there. If anything, I just feel obligated with my time. And again, that's a personal problem. Like, it's not a problem, I guess, but it's just like it's the ADHD, right? But I don't know. I don't really have a point, like a big thesis here. I mean, I guess I do. I kind of started with it, but um, I'd love to hear some example. Like, I guess really, I'd love to hear some examples of other streamers where this is, or examples of this happening, right? Because Vinny and like Mike's playthrough of Mother 3 is like super infamous for this. And I've been watching Vinny for 10 years now, and not once live, by the way. I don't know. I want to talk about this sometime later too. Like, but I'll watch his VODs. Like, I don't watch, and just recently is when I started basically watching Mike on his own, and I don't know why it took me so long, but um, yeah, it's the most consistent I've viewed anybody, and I think it's because they share a lot of my opinions here on what the point of streaming is, um, and that first and foremost, it's like a show. You're there to entertain. Um, but I'm not even. I watch a lot of different creators, but those are the most consistent. Uh, the Vinesauce world is the one where I know the most history of, I suppose, because big shocker with the ADHD, it's hard to keep like up with people. But I'd love to hear if there's any other examples, and other streamers that anybody out there watches, where like they a game was begged to be played, specifically these Mother 3 under story based ones. Like, that's the point, is the emotional resonance, right? And you know it didn't go as the viewers wanted, let's say. I'd love to hear some examples of that, because this is a point that I feel like I could refine. And I think my specific like inability to watch streams live, but I can watch them, like I can watch VODs all day, may play into this somehow. Maybe I'm trying to. Maybe I'm just. This is a self journey of self discovery entirely. Maybe I'm not actually making any particularly groundbreaking or valuable points when it comes to streaming as a whole. But yeah, let that bounce around your brain, I suppose.